What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mark Walberg. Welcome to Bonfire Talks with me. I am, as always, here, supported, standing on the shoulders of my friend and producer, Kaylin Bean.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Kaylin.
Nice to see you.
I don't have a signature sign-off, but I am developing introductions of you at a high level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're workshopping.
Huh?
We're workshopping.
We're workshopping. We're woodshedding. We are a work in progress. But aren't we all, you guys? Aren't we all a work in progress? Speaking of that, really, really grateful for the response we got from all of you, not just from the episodes we've been doing lately with Stars of Temptation Island, but also when I put this out there that so many of you have reached out to me saying that you wanted a bonfire with me. And I joked, I question your judgment, but look, if that's working for you, it's working for me. And so I got the submissions. We dropped that episode. That was awesome. So going to let you know that we're going to try to do some more of that. So if you are thinking, hey, man, I'd like to hear what he's got to say about my situation, we'd love to hear it. So send us a short video or a DM or an email or whatever mode you want, telling us a little bit about you and what's going on with you. And then we'll chop it up and see if we can't find something that we can all learn from and maybe help you out. If my opinion matters, then I'd love to hear from you.
And you can send those submissions to our email at bonfiretalkspodcast@gmail.com, or again, just DM us on Instagram at bonfiretalkspodcast.
And also, I just want to put this out here. If you want to do like a little video and send it to us, and then you let us know you're cool with it, I wouldn't mind like putting your face on here. And it also helps me if I can see you, I can connect with you a little bit better. I just sounded like one of those cheap psychics. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's my next career. Anyway, so we'd love to hear from you and kind of down to do that. Here's a little news flash. Just came up as I'm sitting here. Temptation Island picked up for season 2. Officially. You know what that means? That means your boy's going to have insurance for another year. See how it just boiled? That's what it is for me. I'm pretty excited about that. More excited to tell you about my guest today. Really, really excited about this because she's here in studio with me, came straight from the airport. Luggage is in the corner. I'm really honored by that. One of the stars of Temptation Island this season, and I can't wait to talk to her. Taylor's here. Hi, Tay.
Hi.
You mind me calling you Tay?
No, I love it.
Yeah, I feel like it might be that's my wife's thing. If you say your name is Diane, the next thing out of her mouth is Di. I'm like, honey, I think you need permission before you shorten somebody's name.
I love it, though.
All right.
It's just a comfy, that makes me feel like you're comfortable with me and vice versa.
I'm so comfortable with you, but as I've said to every person I've had on the show, of the couples, Ashley and Grant and Brianna and Shantae, I said, I'm so excited to see you and have such warmth for you, but I get that I can probably a trigger for you.
100%.
Because you never saw me in like chill time.
Yes, it was always shit's about to hit the fan time.
Yeah, I'm like the face of shit hitting the fan.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case today.
No.
Okay.
No shit hitting the fan today.
Can I make a comment about appearance?
Hold that thought and just start that again.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we can see her face. So, in my quest to be a healthy, non-toxic male in the world, I really try hard not to compliment or comment on physicality with women. But if I have your permission, can I say something?
Yes.
I love the hair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a nice change. It was needed, switching it up. Why not?
Switching it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had those switches all the time. Before this season, when I was doing Temptation Island on USA Network, they had me dye my hair every year.
Really?
Yeah, because, your boy's got snow up here. And I hated it because they would kind of maintain it a little bit for the 3.5 weeks we're taping.
Right.
And after that, it would turn a color that isn't
natural.
not found in nature.
Yeah.
And then I'm so cheap, I'm not like trying to manage it.
Right.
Then I become that dude. Anyway, I don't know how we went there. Welcome.
Love it. Thank you for having me, Mark.
You flew in from Nashville.
I did.
For a little vacay?
A little vacay hanging out. Ashley's here and Yemen's here. And so we're all just going to,
We're going to get into that.
Yes.
I love that. And, I follow you on Instagram, of course. And so I've seen your lifestyle, which is like dialed. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you're fitting the fitness in.
I don't know either.
But you seem to be doing great.
Yes.
There's such a gap between we're in this show. The show's traumatic for you guys, can be. A lot of stuff gets moved around. It's real, I think, in a lot of cases. Then you get this 9 months where nothing's happening. Then all the shit hits the fan. Let me just ask you, and then I'll tell you my take. With the fans' response, all the drama, how are you?
I'm honestly doing really well. I did not think that I would have such an outgrowth of love and support because you don't know until you know. We don't know how it's going to be edited or whatever it may be. But it's been a wild ride, and I thought it was going to be really hard for me to watch the show back and relive all of that, but it was a very healing experience for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Or as kids say, I love that for you.
Yes.
I think a lot of people assume that because it's a TV show that we're all a little bit full of shit and it's all scripted and stuff, and I acknowledge that I'm full of shit on many levels, but I'm not in the sense that when I say to you guys on the show, I'm probably more committed to your experience than you are. And my goal is that you leave the island having learned something and in a better place. And I know that's a lofty aspiration, but was that true at any level for you?
100%. You echoed that throughout the entire experience multiple times when we looked at each other and you just felt like Ash and I were going to bolt. It was that sentiment that honestly got us through. We didn't know, obviously, what we don't know. And so going throughout the experience, we needed to release, our grips, that control, if you will.
That's the hardest part of this is that you come on with an expectation. It's a TV show. There's a lot on the line. You can't not be aware of the fact that there are cameras everywhere. And I always look and see how long will it take before, I guess the best way to say is the fuck it shows up and you just start getting real. You were pretty real pretty quick. Ashley held on a little tighter for a lot longer and Shantae even longer than that. Let's just get the elephant out of the room that obviously you may not have felt it, but I had, you got me all in the feels right off the bat. So I kind of had this thing that I'm not saying I had favorites, but I had purpose with you. You said things that rocked me. I'm a little bit misty thinking about it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Cause then no.
And I think what you were sharing was true for you. You want to talk about like that bonfire and what you shared in the start of yours and my journey a little bit?
Yeah. That bonfire was like my come to Jesus moment. I really felt it all at once. And I was glad I could have that raw and vulnerable moment with everybody. But to be honest, when I was sitting there crying and I was trying to make myself stop and it just kept going and going and going, I'm thankful for it, but it was a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah,
obviously, I'm like, there's lights, cameras, people all around, and I'm
hi
having
everybody. Here's my soul.
Breakdown. Yeah, exactly. But to be honest, that was the most authentic version of myself. So
and that's what got me because I always feel like the people on the show are archetypes when we do it right for other people in life. I think there are basic things that we can relate to. The reason these shows work is that whatever we're watching happen on the show, we relate to it because relationships are often similar. And what struck me with you is you were the quintessential, I've been hurt, but I'm strong. So and it is a certain body language that I'm in tune with, that your back was straight, you were sitting perfectly, and as you saw horrible things on the screen, you had a smile of control. And I was like, oh, I'm going at her. Because that says to me, one, props for that strength through the fire. But unfortunately, that's not going to find you love.
Right.
And it's a dangerous thing to start that conversation. And I almost want to apologize for cracking you open if I did. But the other end of that is we got to see the real you.
100%.
And we fell in love with that.
Well, I appreciate that. But honestly, if you didn't crack me in that way, I wouldn't have had the growth that I did. So I'm very happy about that. And I had to look in the mirror for myself and say, okay, you have some gaps here that you need to work on, especially in the abandonment area, which I already knew, but I guess I just didn't know how deep it was because I'm a very straight face, like we're just whatever happens. And
well, we stuff it down and we don't need to look at it. We'll just muscle through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so. Which, by the way, is an admirable survival technique. But as we talked about on the show, at the end, it gives you a comfortable, safe life, and that's not what we're going for. So I don't think your life is comfortable and safe right now.
No,
I think you're living a little bit full out. Can you tell me what your life is like now?
Yes. There's not enough hours in the day, but that's the best way to be. I'm still working my full-time job and doing business as usual, working out, trying to have a routine. And then now doing podcasts on the side and trying to do fitness stuff and get that off the ground and make programs and hopefully have my first personal training client. And so it's just...
Well, you're looking terrific. I've seen everything.
Thank you.
From the fitness I thought you were already there.
Yes.
And then you posted something about some symposium or seminar or something that went down and that you're really proud of. I'm like, she's still holding down a job too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, every woman.
How?
Yeah, it's really impressive.
I wouldn't have it any other way though.
Talk to me about the drama from the Vial Files and the fallout with all of the, opinions and judgment and, comments, but talk a little bit about Tyler and you and how that went down post-show.
Yeah.
And I'm not really talking about give me the tea. I'm just saying how did it affect you?
Of course.
Although you can always give me some tea.
Yeah. Well, you know me, never holding back. The Vial Files was a really difficult experience because I hadn't really seen or spoke to him since August of the year previous. So sitting across from him for 3.5 hours, like hashing out everything that happened 9 months ago was just like not my favorite thing to do.
And it really was sort of a snake pit.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And my claws came out because I was deeply triggered within the first 10 minutes because I'm being accused of sleeping with my ex-boyfriend. And I'm like, who, what, when, where? Like, I didn't know we were
I didn't see the Vial Files, so I don't know what shit got thrown around.
You don't need to see it, Mark. Just, skip right over that. Yeah. But to be honest, I wasn't very happy with how I came across because I was definitely my protective attacking mode. But everything I said was my truth and I will stand behind that. And then I think so post show, right after we got off the island, I put his stuff in a suitcase, gave him his stuff back, all that stuff. And then we didn't talk for a little while. There was no closure after the show to be like, hey, like
let's
what?
Let's sit and hash this out for a second.
Exactly. I was at the gym working out and he came down the stairs and all he said is, are you okay? And this was like 2 weeks after we came back and I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I start crying and then we have to leave the gym and we have a 2-hour in-person conversation of everything. And
which maybe was 2 weeks too late.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks late. Not too late.
Yeah.
Not too late.
Yeah. Because
I mean,
I did need
closure.
that. Yeah. I did need that. But it was still very confusing because like it was still very gaslighty and a little manipulative and stuff. So I was like, okay, whatever. At least we got to talk about whatever it was. And my final straw that led me to block him in August was he was playing the game of, we'd run into each other at the gym and like he'd try to come say hi. And it was just too much for me. And then
was the game trying to win you back a little bit?
No, I think it was just like
get it on the good side.
Yeah, or just we can't leave each other alone. Like that's what we've always done for 2.5 years. So we were just like naturally seeing each other and like trying to figure it out and talking, but not talking. And then I look on his story and he started seeing his now girlfriend. And so I was like, okay, this is getting a little rough. And then we had 1 hour and 45-minute phone conversation and I realized it was the day after he got back of going on vacation with his now girlfriend. So 24 hours before he was literally with her, and then you're calling my phone, you know, crying, doing all this stuff. So I said, I'm good. I'm getting off this ride. I would really like off this ride. And so he's been blocked ever since, and I've never talked to him ever again.
I get blamed for this a lot, that I'll defend even the worst actions. And my only defense here is when you were in love with someone for a couple years, and then it goes south, and you both know intellectually this ain't it.
Yes.
I don't know anybody that goes, this ain't it, and then it's done. Because the chemistry that drew you together, whether you look in the face and see the same guy or not, the chemistry that was what love was still remains residually for a long time. So when someone comes and cries, or you have an intimate conversation, or an hour and 45 minutes, or you even see each other, you can't help but get triggered into some affection and anger, but it's not a clean break. It's like string cheese. It just, you know what I mean? That's the worst analogy ever, but you know what I mean?
Hey, it's true.
So in his defense, we all process the way we process, and, you know, we'd like to think we're mature enough to go, this ain't happening, so let's just cut the cord and move on. But the need to be approved of and liked, we keep searching for. Like, I shit on you, you shit on me, but can we be okay? Are we good? Can you still say you like me? And so I don't know if I just indicted Tyler or defended him, but I get that these things are messy, and I think people need to realize that when these breakups happen and you see it on TV that they decide not to go or stay together, that's not how life works. And I'm constantly saying the show ends here, but the life doesn't.
1000%.
So all right, so you kind of get some kind of closure, or at least you blocked him and said, you know, we're never going to get to a mutual respect place here, which I kind of hope in the future happens. And it may happen if he finds some happiness.
Right.
And, you know, I know there are people in my past, distant, you know, decades past, that were just great and can acknowledge the parts we were for one another at some point. But, you know, we're great now. So he immediately jumped into another relationship, it appears, and wished them the best. What's up with you?
You know, I'm still on this choosing myself journey and moving forward. And, you know, if whoever is in my life, you know, decides to get a little deeper.
We're going to do this? We're
Mark,
going to do this? With your boy, you're going to do this?
No. Okay, so everybody knows, obviously, Yaven and I have been seeing each other, and it's been great, fine, and dandy. And the thing about us two as individuals, we don't put pressure on situations. I run. If anybody pressures, I'm like, I'm good. I want to go at my own pace, and Yaman is really respectful of that. And
he was on the show.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what constantly draws me to him. So, you know, we're not in an official relationship, but we're definitely just hanging out, seeing where things go.
I can't stop smiling because when he was on by Zoom, we did the podcast last week, and when I asked him about you, he's like, he just started to grin like a kid, and he was like, we talk every day, and then he wouldn't tell me, and I'm like, yay, come on.
Yep.
Talk to your boy.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that's clear, and I think you're wise to let it be yours. But thanks for giving me a little bit of scoop because
of course.
I got people.
Yeah.
So you'll see him while you're out here?
Of course, yeah. We're all staying together.
Who's all?
Yeah.
Who's all?
Because it's Ashley.
And I want to talk about how you're curating these like dream paradise vacations.
I love it. Yes. Ashley literally is touching down right now. Yaman's going to get her from the airport, and we're all staying with Ye. So
in his new place downtown?
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And when you say all, it's just you, Ashley, and Ye?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ashley's not bringing her two thruples?
No, they're working. We're gonna all meet in Miami next month. So I got
to talk about this, Kaylin, because I kind of glossed over it when it happened here, but I felt like bombs were dropping and I wasn't picking up on it because Danny was like, "We're a thruple," and Like, I'm like, do you guys get physical? And he's like, oh, maybe. And I'm like, so I don't want to like be that dude, but I'm like, so how is that working? Like, what is that?
Hey, I think it's a beautiful thing because they're defining it for themselves.
Yes.
Like, it's whatever works for them.
Yes.
And I just think it's amazing to witness, to see all of them just love one another. And I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's certainly not in a box.
No.
And that the boys are living together in Iowa, and it's just
You're
like a
like,
lot.
what?
But it couldn't be three people that I giggle whenever I think of Danny and Logan. They just make me giggle just because I adore them.
Yeah.
And of course, you know my affection for Ashley. And what's most important to me as the codependent host that I am, who can't seem to let go of you guys, is that I see Ashley with a smile a lot.
Yes.
And I didn't see that when she came to the island. I love that you guys, this is something I'd like you to speak to. Often on the show, the girls are forced to bond, even though you may not be people that you would have bonded with. Seems like you and Ashley have formed a real friendship.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's really cute because people on social media have even reached out and said, you guys glow differently together. And I feel like the universe knew I needed her because she brings out this fun and playful side. She's a very like relaxed type B type of person, go with the flow. Clearly I am not. So I think she's honestly bringing out sides of me that I want to connect with more. And I love her so much for that. And equally, I love Shantae. I've driven to Atlanta and stayed with her multiple times since the show has aired.
have?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think she needs support right now. And
1000%.
I'm team both of them, actually. Even with all the crazy, I just want everybody to learn and do better.
100%.
So they recently announced, or she announced, that they're not together.
Yes.
Have you talked to her since?
I have. Yeah, we talk almost every day, just like Ashley and I. We're all a really close-knit group. But, you know, Shantae is finding her way, and I think that's beautiful. And, you know, it just takes time. Just like you said, it's just a learning experience. I really, really hate how much hate that she's gotten because, yes, her decision was her decision, but she wasn't the one that did the action.
Right. So, like, she's a victim of behavior, and then
yeah.
she's also getting hate.
Exactly.
But as I've said on the show, before on the podcast, the people that hate on Shantae are the ones who didn't leave the guy that was abusing them.
Yeah.
And so they're like, you need to do it for me. And that's not to say Breon was in any way abusive. I don't want to put that on him, but Breon had behavior that could be looked at as hurtful.
Yes.
But I've even said, look, you don't know because you don't know the depth of a relationship. What Shantae knows about Breon, we don't know. And what Shantae, the parts that trigger Shantae may not be the parts that trigger us.
Very much
I'm
so.
glad to hear that you guys are in touch because I'm glad that sometimes one gets left out.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you're in support there.
Yeah.
Let's go back to you and our personal journey. I saw you come on the island as an alpha in the most positive sense. But behind the alpha, I knew that that's protection. I said the cheesiest line I think I've ever said about that, about, you know, armor keeps you safe, but then it rusts. So, yeah. I'd like to say that was written for me, but unfortunately, your boy cut that cheese himself. But that was my feeling, is that, you know, for you to be happy, you're going to have to take some chances or you're going to be comfortably miserable. And then you had this moment of the bonfire where you just broke down and said the phrase that just crushed me. First of all, you said, I'm broken, which I know is vernacular. And I immediately get my hair goes up in the back of my neck. I'm like, you're not broken. You feel broken.
Yeah.
There's nothing about you that's broken. And that's when I think I just got like on this one. And then the thing that you said that I think was true for you, and I like to think that this crazy-ass show sometimes has things that are taken away that really help people. And I feel like you helped people when you said, history proves that everybody leaves me. I would leave me too.
Right.
And of course that broke my heart, but I think that gets heard by so many women and men, you know, that feel that way. And it was a really dangerous, bold move for you to share that. Regrets?
Zero. I have had hundreds of people send me messages. Literally, I'm going to get teary-eyed, but just saying like they felt so alone. They did not know that anybody else felt those feelings and how I navigated that and how I was so vulnerable. And they just thanked me for doing that. And I'm like, I was kind of embarrassed by that, and the fact that was taken by so many people as a you're not alone situation. And navigating life the way it is right now, I feel like loneliness is at an all-time high and division is at an all-time high. And so for all I ever want to do is share my story, because obviously it's not the easiest of stories and childhoods and everything like that. So if I can share my story and affect at least one person, but now the fact that I affected hundreds,
More than hundreds.
I've sat in my car reading my DMs crying. Like, I've cried more than I ever have, and it's not sad tears. It's
just emotion.
How is this happening tears?
I think one of the things that I've learned in my life is that when you're suffering, you think you're the only one who's ever experienced that it's unique unto you. Like I've had back in the day bouts with anxiety. I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. And what I always tell people is that as soon as you verbalize it, my wife would tell you, as soon as you write it down, get the poison out. What did she say? Something about the pen and the poison. She's got all the phrases. But when you get the poison out, it becomes manageable. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, Rob. But she's 100% right.
Oh, yeah.
So when I shared at times, I am really suffering with anxiety, the number of people said, me too. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly I'm like, well, then I guess I'm not going to lose my shit.
Yeah.
So I think you did that for others. But more importantly, what I want to ask you is, when you said those things out loud, what shifted for you when you hear yourself say the thing you've been feeling but not saying? What opens up?
It was kind of an out-of-body experience. When I heard myself, and it's honestly when I watched it back, I was like,
that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a record.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Just honestly looking back, watching it, I didn't really know how to feel, because watching myself have the breakdown that I've had multiple times behind closed doors, but now on the television, I was just like, oh, okay. But to be honest, like I said, it was a very healing experience to watch that back, and knowing where I am now, I can appreciate and understand that seasons happen and things happen and growth happens. And yes, people might not be around forever. Some people are in there for a season to teach you a lesson, whatever that may be. But you can appreciate that, acknowledge that, and move on. That doesn't mean you're less of a person.
Are you listening? So in a broader philosophical, spiritual sense, which is the hard road to travel, is that when we say thank you for every experience, even the ones that seem to sting or bleed, we acknowledge that they're there. Things happen. We can either relate to them as though this happened to me, or we can choose, even in the pain, to say these happened for me. And I think you're proof of that.
Yes.
And that's a very difficult thing when we're always trying to manage our lives into the corners of where we think we'll be happy. But sometimes, Robbie says, and that should be another episode. Robbie says, you want to listen when God whispers, because then if you don't, God will yell and you'll get the message. I think there was so much power for the audience, for me and for you. For me, when you said what you said about that wasn't a surprise. I could see it. I don't know why, but I could. That's why I went there. It's like, I'm like, okay, I know this is how you look and how you feel, but I think behind this is that you feel abandoned and lonely, and you don't think there's any hope for you. And then hearing you say it out loud, while it's so difficult for me to see anyone in pain, it warmed my heart, not hurt my heart. Like, okay, then now maybe there's a place we can get on the road.
Yeah.
My hope is that the things that we learn, we bring into the next relationship so that before they become festered and blistered, we're able to verbalize it. So I'm not saying you're in a relationship, but you're playing with Ye.
Yeah.
I think you have a relationship, meaning a friendship and a relationship and a love relationship. Could be a lover. I don't know. I mean, I have my feelings. But what's the communication like with him?
Honestly, unlike anything I've ever experienced, and to be honest, it was a little scary at first because we're two grown adults. We're not beating around the bush. We don't have time to do so. We're both in our 30s. It's like you just don't date for fun. Exactly. And especially long distance where there's intention behind things and you have to plan things. So Ye is an alpha. 100%.
Which you need.
Yes, but that's equally as scary because I've always been the alpha. So it's a learning experience for me letting him lead because that's all I've ever wanted. But also that triggers me in a way because I'm like, oh, am I doing it right? I'm usually in control.
Well, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's obviously some learning going on. But like I said, we're both very patient and no pressure. And, we're just...
You talk?
All the time.
I mean, when shit comes up.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because what I love for you is that your alphaness, I'm guessing, again, I'm a game show host, I'm not a therapist, but your alphaness was born out of protection and survival.
Right.
I think so much of who we are is born out of protection. Even my ability to listen deeply is born out of survival for me, not anything pretty. It was, how do I not get beat up? So your alphaness, your strength is what's gotten you through those things that hurt you. And so my hope for you would be to find somebody that's stronger than you, but still compassionate.
Yes.
So when you are thrown to go assert dominance, that guy can be strong enough to go, yeah, thanks for sharing. I got you. And then you get to relax.
Yeah.
Which is a learned skill. It can't be that easy for you.
Nope.
Yeah.
Still to this day, we're still learning. So
I think it's beautiful. I always ask people this, and I think I've already gotten the answer, but I'm always afraid to say, if you had to do it over again, would you not go on the show?
I would 100% go on the show.
I can't believe that's...
Yeah.
I know that people don't get this. Like, on the way in, it's like, who in their right mind would go on this show? And I still think that's true.
Right.
But then once you're there, it just starts to become whatever it is. And 9 times out of 10 on the other end of it, people go, probably not the advised way to go, but don't regret it.
Yeah.
We've kind of covered this a little bit, but what have you learned about you from the show that you take into your daily life?
Watching the show back, I feel like I was really hard on myself for multiple years growing up. Like, I am my own worst enemy. My thoughts controlled a lot of what I did, how I felt about myself, and I let people in my life kind of dictate that too. And everybody has their own learning and individual processes, so it's really hard to know that in the moment, and know that that's their opinion. That doesn't mean that's actually me and who I am. So looking at the show back, honestly, it's been such a relief because I'm like, I thought I was not a great person that wasn't worthy of really good things, and who did just have a broken family and broken relationships, who felt like a broken person. But watching it back, I'm like, wow, I'm kind of a boss ass bitch. Not to toot my own horn, but I was just really proud of myself. No, but I just, watching it just made me feel better about myself.
Hey, you want to talk about what a boss ass bitch is in this context? Tough and strong is, there's a fire and I'm going to protect myself by not going in it. Mm-hmm. Boss ass bitch is, I'm going through it.
That's what we did.
Right?
Yes.
That's the difference. That whether you chose to or not, you were thrust into, you could have shut down, like in those first days, I think you and Ashley were planning a mutiny.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll have to tell you what I told the executive producer. Because you guys were like in David Friedman's.
Hey, 24 hours in, I was like, take me home.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And David's like, came to me and was like, I don't know, man. It looks like they want to leave. And what do you do? And I said, grab him by the hand, take him out of the room, open up the suitcase and say, let's go. Nobody's going. Mm-hmm. Because given the choice of going home, retreating from this and letting your story be told without you there, I knew that both of you were strong. Both you and Ashley were so strong that there's no way you would buy that. Nobody's gonna dominate you in that level. Mm-hmm. Wanting to run away is natural, but I never once thought you were gonna bail. It's just not who you are. It's not who you are.
Well, we tried, but I mean, I think I had peace in the fact knowing that I was there for a reason. And I think the reason why Ashley and I both wanted to run is because we knew what was going to happen.
That's right. Now, that's right. Because Ashley had a moment that some people may overlook, but to me was so clear and so much to learn from, is that everybody was panicked when she was going to see Grant do his thing, that she was going to get up and pull a Montoya and run down the beach, right?
Smile.
Right? And I knew she wouldn't. Yeah. And what she did was she smiled and said, I'm relieved. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about this a lot, because in that painful moment, which you never want to see, it crushes your heart, but confirms what you knew. And so she's been living this situation of going, I hope he's not this. I hope he's not this. And he's telling me I'm not this. And then when you see him be something, you kind of go, wow, I'm not crazy. Mm-hmm. And it actually is a relief, not a horrible heartbreak. I think some of that was true for you, in less about seeing Tyler's behavior, more about breaking through, not breaking down. You may have said it was a breakdown, but it was a breakthrough of going, wow, okay, I'm holding on and hiding behind this strength. Those are the moments that just absolutely moved me, which I felt like I needed to show up at your villa and let you know.
Yes. That was a very touching experience.
It sure played like one on TV, but it was real for me.
Oh, goodness.
I couldn't, we do the bonfires, and it's a little overwhelming, because think about it. Each one of your stories matters so much, and there's 4 of you. Then there's like a lunch break, and then there's 4 of them. And I know the story from having just seen one side. And I can't say, Tyler, you just crushed Taylor. Or Taylor, even to Tyler, when he sees you say stuff that crushes him, which you did.
Yes.
Bitch tendencies, that's a phrase people should have on T-shirts.
Oh, hey.
My wife just said, I was doing another podcast this week as a guest, and that came up, and I'm doing the podcast on my laptop, and my wife's walking behind trying not to be on it.
Yeah.
And it came up, and I'm like, I don't really like that phrase. And she yells, I like bitch tendencies. I like that about you.
I love her.
And I said, well, there's a balance.
Yes.
I said, I don't like the phrase, but my point is, it's really difficult to watch you guys go through this, and it's overwhelming for me. But to get to why I showed up for you in that moment is that then the bonfires are over, and everything I say and everything we say, there's no script. It's just happening in this crazy fucking moment that. And just as we're starting to go somewhere, we got to go to the next person, right? And so it ends, and I go back. I usually go to the Grips and have a beer and just try to, get my feet back on the ground. And then I go back to the room where Robbie's like, I'm out of here, and she's already in bed. And then I'll lay in bed, and I'm like, how was it? She said, you were great. It was great. It was great. And then I'll lay there, and then I'll start to remember all the things we talked about, all the things that went down, and it'll stay in my head till like 2 or 3 in the morning. And what stuck with me was what you said, about I would leave me too. And I just normally I'll process, and the next day I'm good and whatever. But it was maybe 2 or 3 days later when I came in with Case, and that was really like they said, we're going to bring Case back in. Has that ever happened before? I said, no, but it's Temptation Island. You can do whatever you want. Right. And I said, but if we're going to bring him in, can I come in? because I just can't shake this thing I just need to talk to her. And that's really hard for me, so that you know. We have our bonfires. I never see you guys other than that.
Right.
So I can't follow up. We can't have a relationship. I'm always the purveyor of doom, right? And so I was like, please let me. And they're like, okay. And so it was quick, but I just needed to communicate to you that was not TV shtick.
Yeah. And that was honestly one of the most impactful things I took away from the whole show, is knowing, because you're a dad too, and you're just this family man. And so you coming in, it felt like that was my dad or somebody that I loved coming in and letting me know that, hey, you're not alone and I'm here and you have moved me and you moved me.
Stop it. What it was for me. Oh, God. Fuck you.
Oh. Don't start.
What it was for me is something I've learned in my life. And quite frankly, the whole show is me sharing, me having to make a choice to be a little bit vulnerable too, which is weird for a TV host. But what it is for me was, we create a narrative about what is possible for us and who we are. And I don't even know your story, but the relationship with your parents, your childhood, all that stuff that made you who I witnessed, we then have a story that it's a story, but it's not a story to us. It's a documentary. It's real. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We have a narrative, and that narrative is going to repeat. And all I wanted to say to you is, just because it's been the past and you could document it and sit here and argue for it to be true, now's your chance to put a pin in it, open up your thinking, and you don't have to have that story anymore. You get to create a new one. And I wish I'd have said it that well. But that was what was on my mind for you. I'm like, we can arrest this right here.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop listening to that.
Yes.
It may have been true, but you get to say what's true from this point forward.
Right.
And this point forward, people have stayed around you.
Most definitely.
Like, people are not running away from Taylor. And it lives like with yours and Ashley's relationship. It's not always a love relationship.
Right.
But the fact that you can change the narrative to have lasting relationships where you can be vulnerable and still be safe.
It's a beautiful thing. And I didn't think that I was necessarily capable of that because of what's happened to me in the past. But the fact that we had that conversation and multiple conversations afterwards with my therapist or family member, whatever it may be, honestly, I have written my new script and I am worthy of that. And I've been allowing, I think that's the biggest thing. My heart was closed. I was closed off. I had my shield of armor and I am good. Now it's like, okay, no, actually, I want to be open to receiving love, open to receiving positivity.
Even with the danger that comes with.
Yes, it's a gamble, but I would rather be on that gamble than the I'm fine by myself gamble, because that was a very lonely period, and multiple years of my life has been that way, and I'm still kind of getting out of it. I live by myself, and I'm an introvert at heart. I know it's hard to tell.
No, same.
Yeah.
Same.
So, I mean,
when given the opportunity, I'll isolate rather than go out and
1000%.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of power in what you're saying, is that you've now, the way I say it is, we don't fix ourselves. The things that narrative that we brought into today, it still is going to harp in your head all the time. It's your thrownness. It's your knee jerk. It's what your body does to protect you immediately in any new situation. And we have to intellectually recognize, thanks for sharing. I'm going to try it this way.
Yes.
And that's a muscle. It's not a vibe. That's what therapy's for. That's what communication with guys like Ye is for, because when it shows up, you need somebody to say, Taylor, you don't have to have that. Or you get to say, I'm having a bout of of past. You know what I mean? I'm having a bout of my past.
Right.
And then we have to learn how to exercise the muscle of going, no, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Retraining those pathways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get headier with this through my own therapy, but this is standard stuff. The voice that tells you the things that you used to believe, that's Taylor as a child. And the voice that says no thank you anymore, that's Taylor as an adult. So when she gets scared and she needs the mother or family you may not have experienced when you were a girl, you get to be that for her.
100%.
A little heavy.
Full circle.
Right. But it's a learned skill.
It is.
Are you, a little, maybe too personal to ask, but you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Are you actively in some professional therapy?
Yeah, I have been in September, it'll be 3 years. So, and I'm happy about that. I think more people should, especially people who don't have a good support system, you need an unbiased party just to sit there and listen and, maybe say, hey, what about this perspective? Or, they're trained for a reason. And a lot of people look down on therapy because they're strong enough to
some kind of weakness.
Exactly. And trust me, I couldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for
me
that.
It forces me to stop my life long enough to look at it's self-care.
Yeah. 100%.
Which people like you and me, alpha E isolators,
we'll
take care of everybody else,
yes.
but not even wash our face.
Right.
You know what I mean? God forbid, here's how bad it gets for me that I have to work on is if I have a headache, I sometimes subconsciously don't take Advil or anything because I guess I'm not worth it. And my wife's like, you're worth having not a headache. They have the technology that you won't have to have a headache.
Right.
You just got to take the pill.
Yep.
That's a metaphor, guys. Take the pill. So anyway, I could sit with you forever because I'm happy to see you. To me, having you on the show and Ashley and all of them is not so much to get tea or recap the experience, but it's because I had a relationship with you that was stilted because you collectively, because it's only on camera and I'm isolated. I'm not supposed to talk to you outside of that. Right. So to me, this is, as you spoke on earlier, this is my completion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really want to thank you for coming in studio to my palatial estate.
I love it.
It really is. Really says he's made it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Where's the Uber taking you next?
Maybe to a certain someone's house. I don't know. We'll see.
In the downtown region?
Yes, in the downtown region.
Taylor, I couldn't be happier for you. I think that your story has been educational for so many. And that's always been my hope. And I appreciate you feeling safe enough to come back and talk to me. And if you don't spill the tea about you and Yemen as it goes on, if you take that to Nick Vile and not me,
never.
We're going to have a problem.
Oh, I got you, Mark.
Wrap your arms around that boy and give him a kiss from me.
I will.
Because I dig him. I really like that guy.
You guys need to hang. You're right here.
I know. He said it. And
get a beer.
Yeah, well, we talked about brown liquor.
Yeah.
I think a beer is probably safer. Give Ashley my love. Give Yemen my love. Keep some for yourself.
Okay.
And I say this to everybody, but I'm a DM away.
You're
if you need me, if I can help.
Thank you.
But I think you're okay. I may need your help.
Yeah. Hey, roles reverse next time.
Anything you want to say to people watching or?
Honestly, I just really am grateful for this experience and getting the opportunity to share my authentic self. And I may have hiccups and bumps in the road, but I'm human and, I'm just very, very thankful. So.
There was something I forgot to ask, but
Uh-oh.
Just at the end. How do you get the free Cabo trip, and how does a brother get hooked up?
Oh my gosh, the Cabo trip. Honestly, ask Ashley because she's the one who set up a bunch of it. We were just along for the ride.
Between her 200K and your 160K followers.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
So you're coming next time is what you're saying.
No, I don't know if that's the case. Like, I don't know if you
can come too.
I don't know if you're going to have like 6 hot people and a dad bod in the corner going,
whatever.
make good choices. I just don't know if that's the vibe. But I'm happy for you guys, although I get a little butt hurt and chapped when I see you guys like vacationing. I'm like home going, I've hosted this shit for 9 seasons.
See?
Where's my trip?
I love it.
Yeah. It'll come. Anyway, be good. Love you.
Love you.
Let's keep in touch.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right, folks, that's it for me. Bonfire Talks with Mark. Kaylin, anything you want to add?
Nope. Just thanks for
Send us your submission if you want to hear what I got to think about what's going on with you. I just want to help. Quite frankly, the best help you can get is by going to your clergy or professional therapist. But if it's something you want my take on it and that gives you some insight, send me your stuff. I got to quit cursing so much. Send me your shit, yo, and we'll chop it up. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. YouTube, however you get your podcast.
Also, just on that note, I will add that if you are consuming this on YouTube, which we thank you for watching and commenting and sharing, if you could do us a favor and also go on to your podcast platform like Apple or Spotify and subscribe there as well. Even if you don't consume it on there, that'll help us out a bunch. We'll be able to do more episodes and keep more Bonfire Talks coming to you.
I love that. And I have no shame in just jobbing the algorithm. Like I told people, I was just at an event with people who wouldn't watch Temptation Island. I said, just turn it on in another room and let it run for like 10 episodes. Algorithm's happy. I'm good. And you don't have to watch. It all works out. All right. That's it. I've grubbed enough for likes and subscriptions. Taylor, the best to you. Kaylin, you know how I feel.
Love you, Mark.
And as always, we search for a sign off. So I'll just say bye for now. Peace.